Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Midweek program at the J.C. Raulston Arboretum. My name is Blake, and I'm the education assistant here at the Arboretum, and today we are in the xeric garden because there is a lovely drift of ornamental onions here in the background because I thought it would be very funny to have a plant that is normally edible, where in this instance it is not edible, because today we've got our director, Mark Weathington, who's going to go over a list of plants you didn't realize are edible. We're going to look at a bunch of plants that have wonderful ornamental characteristics, and what do you know, you can eat them too. So it should be an absolutely wonderful program. Those of you watching this on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and feel free to leave a comment down below. And with the announcements out of the way, I think we can pass things over to Mark to tell us a little bit about some plants we didn't realize were edible.
Hello, everybody. As Blake said, I'm Mark Weathington, director here at the Arboretum. And, you know, I'm just realizing, Blake, as you read off some of these announcements, that I got kind of more interested in the edible plant thing after one of our symposia where we had a gentleman who was in Europe who had Guinness record for making the salad with the most different ingredients with. And
oh, wow.
He was talking about kind of food forest. And, you know, one of the things that I remember him saying was hostas were edible. Which I have a hosta, and I kind of started with this because it is, you know, perhaps the most ubiquitous garden plant. You know, everybody knows hostas if they garden at all. Even people who don't know much about plants, you know, they may know that they have both of them, the green one and the variegated one. I didn't realize that they were edible. Now, after I went to Japan after that on trip, and I was in a grocery store and I saw hostas being sold in the vegetable aisle. So that got me interested. I thought, well, you know, I wonder what else out there is edible. A couple of words before I get started. One, this is a topic which I know nothing about and have mostly gotten my information from the internet. If I eat something here and I keel over dead, probably you should not eat that. But this is my disclaimer. I know really very little about this, and so some of these plants I'll talk about, you probably should not eat in large quantities unless you know a lot about them because, you know, sometimes they are diuretics or other things, and they may affect your body in different ways. You also may want to disregard everything I say as not safe. I have an iron constitution, so.
Arlene wants to know if you're going to eat that.
Oh, I'm eating just about everything.
Okay.
I'm game for it. I've got some tea to wash things down.
Good. That should make it easy.
And I'll say before I start, I don't care what it is, just about everything, unless it's deadly poison, somebody makes a tea out of it. So that's not where I'm going. And when I talk, these are things you didn't know were edible. So I'm not talking about, you know, hey, blueberries are great ornamental plants for the garden and they have edible berries, or, you know, these onions are onions, so you can assume that you could probably eat them. They may not be great, but you know, I really wanted to go kind of in places people didn't realize. So hostas were named for an Austrian botanist named Joseph, I believe, Nicholas Thomas Host. I don't know a whole lot about him yet, and I haven't come across him. But hosta really were past the time you want to eat your hosta. The time to eat your hosta is when they're first emerging and the leaves are still rolled up. And that's, the tighter they are rolled up, the better they're gonna be. After that, they'll get a little bit more, they'll get a little tougher. So this one's past its ideal stage, but let's see if it's still good. Since it's tougher, I'm gonna do it like, you know, you massage kale.
Yeah, definitely. Get in there, Mark.
I'm gonna massage it.
How's the flavor?
It tastes like a leaf.
Tastes like a leaf. I love it.
It's not bitter.
Sure. Saladability, would you put that in a salad?
Maybe younger. You know, it's got these ribs in it, and they really give it some structure.
Ah, sure.
Probably a little more structure than I want in my leaves. Could be cooked down. Let me see.
Fair enough.
Now, this says somebody said they're still pretty good once they're unfurled. It's not bad. You know, some things are bitter. It's okay. I suppose you could eat it. You know, and that's the thing. You know, we say plants you didn't know are edible. Those who've heard me talk before know that I feel strongly that all plants are edible. Almost anything is edible. Depends on how much time you have and how much willpower you have. Are they palatable? That's what we're going for. And not all of these are great. But you take the little, when they're emerged and rolled up, and I have had them, you can slice them up like that. You can eat them raw in a salad. You can saute them a little bit. A lot of times, if you see it, it's done with soy or mirin or something like that, because they do eat these in Japan. I've never come across them in China, but in Japan I have. Some things say they're bitter, but that was not bitter at all.
Nice.
So, all right, give that a 2.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, this is one that I've actually did know was edible. It's kind of wilted a little bit now, but Oxalis. Oxalis, this particular one is Oxalis triangularis ebony with the purple leaves. But you can, even their weedy Oxalis that we have in our gardens, little yellow flowered ones that are edible as well.
They are indeed.
Oxalis, that name is derived from a word that means sour, and they've got oxalin in there. And this one, like I said, I ate as a kid. I would chew on the stems, and they've got that sour, lemony taste.
Sure. When I was an intern in the nursery back here at HFL, weeding the pots, maybe an Oxalis finds your way into your mouth a little bit. It's not a bad flavor, really. It's certainly, eating them certainly better than pulling them out of nursery pots. I'll say that.
I'd agree with that. The leaf is a little, texture is not as good, but the stems are delicious. I mean, I would definitely, you got your little microgreens and your pea shoots and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
The flowers and the immature green pods, seed pods are good as well. But like I said, the leaves, I can take or leave, but these little parts, I would for sure throw these in a salad, eat these.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're tasty. You can make this is one, usually when they talk about making teas, you make a warm tea. This is actually a great one for making a cold tea. It's really refreshing. It's kind of somewhere between it's a, what do they call them? John Daly? Is that what it is? Or
Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer. Oh yeah, John Daly's one with alcohol in it.
There you go. That makes sense, actually.
Arnold Palmer, where you have tea and lemonade mixed in there. That's kind of what you get with that. A little bit of honey, delicious.
Sure.
Thumbs up. That's one I knew. And that the Oxalis triangularis, or Regnellii as it's sometimes known, that you can grow in the open garden here, but you can also grow it as a house plant. So you can have it on a windowsill and a little of that. Yeah. And you can keep harvesting it, and that'll just make it happier. Once it's established, it's just going to keep growing. So
awesome.
All right, let's see if I can find some of these. I put them in I actually gave Blake a list so he wasn't scrambling around in the dark. Now, did I drop some? It's okay, I didn't wash them before this anyway, so. So, you may recognize this. This is bugleweed, Ajuga reptans. Common ground cover. It's used all over. Usually what you see in the landscape is a purple leaf form. This is a gold leaf form. I don't know if the taste is any different.
No kidding.
I actually meant to get a couple of the different cultivars to see if they were different.
Sure.
I'm told the young shoots are edible, but I got this from a patch growing in a real dry spot, so it didn't have good young shoots. Those would be the horizontal that are coming out, which is why it's good ground cover. But the leaves are edible as well, I am told. No, sir.
No, sir.
Edible? Yes. Palatable? No.
Is it just the flavor or the texture of it that's wrong?
It's both.
Both.
Very bitter.
Okay.
And it's very coarse,
okay,
sandpapery kind of texture.
Interesting.
It says young shoots can be eaten in salads or sauteed. Young leaves are also edible.
Yeah.
Used in salads, teas, and casseroles.
Okay, sure.
Cooked, maybe. Yeah, I mean, you give me raw a big old chunk of raw collard, I'll probably say no thank you.
Yeah,
but,
fair enough.
Cook it down long enough and it's okay.
Sure.
And maybe the green one is great, but you don't see that. Maybe the purple one's great.
Yeah.
I did not get that. Okay, this one was kind of a surprise to me. And I tried to get things that had flower, if they were a flowering plant, get them with flowers. We could do this 5 times through the year and get different plants because, it didn't seem to me to make sense to do a dahlia if we didn't have a dahlia
Fair
flowers.
enough, yeah.
But this is an Agastache. Stacky, that part comes from the ear of grain, like a grass grain or wheat or something like that. And the aga part of it means similar to or very much like or something like that. So that refers to the flower, which say is like an ear of corn or ear of grain. Okay, I guess. So this is one, and I don't know if all the Agastache are palatable. I don't know if this one's palatable, but specifically the Agastache foeniculum, which is the blue flowered sage that we grow, the European one, not the real desert Mediterranean type. Fantastic pollinator plants. When these are in flower, man, they're just amazing. The kind of the classic that really made these popular was one called Blue Fortune. This is a variegated form of Blue Fortune called Crazy Fortune. Actually, the best performing one in the garden, I think, is one called Blue Boa. But hey, I'm talking about ornamental plants, so that. So you get one of the things with Agastache, you kind of get that licorice scent, which is great because it helps keep the critters from eating it. I don't have any rabbits eating mine in my garden yet. I'll probably go home and they'll destroy it, which is great. So you use that to get that licorice-like kind of scent and flavor to things. Of course, herbal teas, jellies. I laugh anytime somebody says you put in jellies because what that means is you add 5 pounds of salt to, a little bit of plant. But they said they can be eaten fresh in small quantities. Getting a little of that anise.
No kidding.
All right, I started there and I was not on board. But the more I chewed it,
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
not bad.
Interesting. So an acquired taste.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Let me know if you want to try any of these.
I would love to try that. Please and thank you.
Yeah, I'd go with the younger shoots, maybe on that side, a little bit at the tip there.
Indeed.
It's not
Ooh, that's a good fragrance.
texture-wise.
Yeah, it's real. Like it has aromatics of anise. I wouldn't say it has like an anise flavor. It's coming on a little bit.
It comes on a little bit.
It comes coming on a little bit.
Chew it a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not like an anise person. I don't eat licorice, but it's more subdued. It's not as in your face licorice. It's slight and mellow and.
I thought I wasn't either, and then somebody handed me some Good and Plenty. The little.
Yeah.
And holy cow, I was like, man, these are good.
That'd be nostalgic for sure.
I liked them.
Yeah. What about like this? Seems like it should be in a cocktail or something. What do you think?
I think that would be good that way.
Like I don't drink enough to know what cocktail. Thing that jumped into my head was like mojito with like the mint. But
the mint, it's that anise is kind of a warm, a warm. I could see that with a bourbon.
Sure.
Even.
Yeah.
I think my first reaction is a clear liquor.
Yeah.
But I can actually see that coming through with bourbon. All right.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Worth a shot. So everybody out there in Zoomland and on YouTube, put Agastache in your bourbon and let us know about it.
That foeniculum, Agastache foeniculum that's refers to fennel because it has a fennel anise-like flavor. And one other thing with fennel, at least, if you go to Indian restaurants, often when you at the end of the meal or when you leave, instead of having a bowl of butter tart, they have a bowl of fennel seed, and that freshens and clears your breath.
It sure does.
I don't know. I got a little.
Yeah.
I still get the fennel, but
right.
I also got something else in there. All right. Another super common plant. Kind of wilted a little bit since I got it, but yarrow, Achille millefolium. This is a cultivar, I think, Millie Rock Yellow or something like that. I don't know. All right, pop quiz. You know where Achille, where the name comes from?
Is it mythology?
It's mythology.
Awesome. From the 3-point line. Had no idea about that.
Well, it's from Achilles.
Yeah, for sure. That was my thought.
So Achilles used the plant. One of the things that I knew about Achille is it's got a property as a coagulant.
Okay.
So Achilles used it medicinally to help stop the bleeding for his
sure.
The warriors there during the Trojan War.
Yeah.
And it says leaves can be consumed raw or cooked. Well, I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why nope. Whoa, no. No. Well, I'll swallow it since I got it in there.
Yeah, that's fuzzy. And whoa, that's it tastes like soap. It tastes like nice soap.
Yeah.
Like a nice lavender soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Dr. Bronner, the good stuff,
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe very, very desperate. Dire straits if you're eating this one.
Yeah. Internal bleeding.
Yeah.
Good coagulant. It'll
you
stop
go.
Everything up.
Use it to stop your bleeding, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes if the folks who do these things, if it doesn't kill you, they're like, it's edible.
Right.
I did think it was interesting. I saw that it can be used as a hop substitute for flavoring.
Okay.
And a preservative, which is what hops is primarily used for in beer.
Sure.
Flavoring and a preservative in beer.
Yeah. Definitely, that would make sense, like some kind of a fancy summer ale with, I mean, you tell them that it's lavender, but you just use Achille if you have it, so.
All right, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not. Lavender should never be used in food. It is a terrible flavor. It is awful.
Fair.
All right, speaking of hops, do you know why India Pale Ale why it has that name and why it's so hoppy?
Please tell us.
I know you said you're not a drinker. Oh, I might not have the right story.
Go ahead.
So, as I am told, let me not say this as
yes,
fact.
There it is.
Hops is a flavoring and a preservative in beer, and in when the British were in India, they wanted their beer.
Yes.
But to ship their beer from England all the way to India, it would go bad. It wouldn't be very good. And so they put extra hops in there. They dump hops in the barrels to keep it good. So it was hoppy there. It was crappy beer.
Right.
But all the folks in, the Raj in India, all the British, that they got used to that. They liked it.
Sure.
And so when they came back, they wanted hoppier beer. So that's why it's India Pale Ale, is because it was Indian. It was from the folks in India kind of came back with it.
That's so funny.
Did I get it right?
That's one of the stories.
One of the stories. All right. We're going to have to get you another story sometime. All right, got a double whammy here.
Oh, boy.
So, Campanula for little bells. These are the bellflowers. And as I'm told, all Campanula are edible. We already knew that.
Yes.
The whole genus is edible. Flowers and the leaves of the plant. So the one you see most often is the European one, the common European peach leaf bellflower, Campanula persicafolia. But we've got Campanula glomerata, which grows very well for us, little clumps, slowly spreading, lovely flowers right now. And we've got a Japanese one, Campanula takesimana, or punctata, maybe separate species, maybe the same species, I don't know, but this is one called Elizabeth. And so we've got a European and Asian. We'll see if they have different flavors. Flowers and fruit. Don't eat the calyx.
I won't eat the calyx. Totally. That's fine.
It's pretty tasteless.
It's pretty tasteless. It's palatable. I wouldn't say it's delicious, but like
you could throw these all through a salad and
yeah,
the texture's fine.
The texture's fine.
There's no weird aftertaste.
None whatsoever. And it's a pretty pink. I mean, that helps things for sure.
And this thing's a vigorous grower. Campanula takesimana. It pulls up easy. So I don't mind it in my garden, but it can be, if you have a small garden, it can be a thug.
Thank you.
The same. Easier to pull off these flowers.
Sure.
And I mean, these you really wouldn't even have to cut up or anything.
No kidding.
You could just,
Right. Or you could cut them up with some fancy garnish that it's edible. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's certainly more edible than the Achille.
You might want to wash it.
Yeah. For sure.
Let me see the leaf. Flowers are nicer.
Okay.
It's tasteless.
Sure.
Same. Flowers have a nicer texture. Yeah. Leaves are tasteless. All right, now we're gonna have some fun.
Let's.
A nice native plant. This doesn't look beautiful right now, but it was beautiful in the garden when I pulled it out. This is Caloroe involucrata. Caloroe. How well do you know your Greek mythology?
Not that well.
I'm gonna keep putting you on the spot.
Not as well as I know my Hindu mythology.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hindu mythology.
For sure. It's good stuff. Highly recommend.
Caloroe was one of the Oceanids, the daughters of the Titans, Oceanus and whatever Titan his wife was.
Sure.
Bugs are enjoying this. So this is, I tell people how much I love this plant. So it grows down in Texas, Southwest kind of area. And what I love about the plant in the garden is you plant it, and once it's established, it spreads out and weaves around everything 4 feet wide. It'll kind of climb up through things and whatever. And where that can be a problem with some plants where it's spreading everywhere. But this dies back in winter to tuber. It's not, the stems just do not root in at all.
Oh, neat.
It all comes back to this tuber.
Huh.
So I'm told the flowers and the foliage are edible. Give that a shot.
Give that a shot. Take that too.
Yeah, let me try a leaf. Yeah, leaves, no. Flowers were okay, kind of tasteless as well, but there was something to them.
Something to them. Yeah, I want to say there's slightly more flavor in this than the Campanula, but
Yeah,
I feel like I'm sort of making that up too.
I kind of had this, I had almost exactly the same reaction.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy, you see, if you're eating plants from the garden, your cooking tools should be pruners.
Agreed.
If you're doing French dining, secateurs. So this is supposed to be good, boiled, roasted, or eaten raw. Do you want some?
Yes, please. And I did stick part of the leaf in my mouth, and I feel like the flavor is totally acceptable. However, it's like fuzzy.
It's fuzzy. Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
Like, I love peach fuzz, but like there's the peach flesh right after the fuzz, which forgives the fuzz. This is just is just fuzz with nothing good coming from it.
And I would say I put up with the fuzz on the peach, you know?
I hear you. I think they're necessary. I think the fuzz makes the peach that much sweeter.
Okay. I chewed on a little bit of like the outside part of the root. There's kind of a part that seems to want to peel off.
Yeah.
That was pretty woody, not offensive.
Yeah.
The inside, no.
No?
Not for me.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
Maybe boiled or roasted, but...
If I was like stranded in the woods and like this was around, yeah, give me that. That's yummy. But...
yeah, it's better than tree bark.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Better than tree bark. You heard it here first.
There's no real taste to it. It's like a lot of kind of starchy things. There's no real taste to it. It's just, it's got fiber in it.
For sure. Yeah.
Not like bran, but like it's somewhat fibrous. So it
definitely
doesn't bite through. But I can see where boiled and mashed or
boiled and mashed is certainly the way to go with that.
Half pound of butter, anything's good.
Half pound of butter, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's starchy and you know, most of our carrot didn't start out as a tasty thing.
Fair enough.
We bred that.
Fair enough.
Sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
We did the breeding to add sugars to that.
And those giant Asian persimmons, if you go out into the woods in Japan, their persimmons are the same size as our persimmons. They just have a culture of cultivating them. So like, let's start cultivating delicious native fruits and vegetables. It's got to start somewhere.
All right. Now here is, I don't know how much you're going to want to eat this.
Okay.
One of my favorite plants, and this does not do it justice because it's not in flowers, is stackies. There's different kinds of stackies. The one most people are familiar with are lamb's ears.
Yes.
Stackies byzantina. I don't like those much because they get mushy in the winter.
Oh.
But the betonies, the wood betonies, are these beautiful plants. I buy them for our plant sales, and nobody ever buys them from us. I have them for sale in our plant sales, and nobody ever buys them. So I've kind of given up on them. I take them home and plant them. I think they're beautiful foliage plants, and then spikes of flowers. Stackies, have you been paying attention? Stackies, like an ear of grain.
Okay.
Agastache.
There it is. Okay.
But this particular one, Stackies sieboldii, excuse me, which you would know from the epithet sieboldii,
yep,
that it probably comes from Japan because Siebold was a physician with Europeans in Japan back before they let Europeans into the thing. So if it has sieboldii, it's probably from Japan, but it's called Chinese artichoke.
Okay.
And you get, you have Jerusalem artichoke, which is a sunflower, Helianthus tuberosus. And then this they call artichoke. So these little tubers are known in Japan as chorogi. Now, I've never come across them in Japan. Have you? You know if you've ever come across them?
It's very possible I ate it and had no idea I was eating it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in France, apparently they like them in France. Never come across them in France there, but I've spent less time in France than I have in Japan. They're called, I wrote this down, Crosnes du Japon.
Oh, whoa. Your accent is perfect.
So they're pickled in China often. This is not really cleaned off. I don't know if you want.
I am all on board, Mark.
All right. I like this, having somebody else who's willing to eat this stuff with me. So it's, they're often boiled, they're pickled in Japan, but they can be eaten raw.
That's bitter. That's bitter and it tastes like dirt. It really does. It's just bitter and dirt. I'm sure if you pickle
that, my drink.
I'm sure it's much nicer if you pickle it, and or even if you wash it, might be the key there.
That is true.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I have more things that I forgot to put on my list for you.
Oh, whoa.
So I'm trying to keep some semblance of order, if we're eating roots. Here we have another one of my favorite garden plants, Polygonatum, the Solomon seals. This is a Polygonatum that is pretty widely available in the U.S., this particular cultivar, but it's just Polygonatum in general. Polygonatum odoratum is the main one people eat because it's the quickest growing and most ubiquitous. But this is one from Japan called Jingui. Sometimes you see it sold as red legs. It's got red stems instead of green stems. Tim says he eats this out in the garden.
Okay.
So
Tim also likes rhubarb pie. Right.
You got to grow up with that kind of thing.
That's what
I didn't grow up. I didn't have rhubarb until pretty recently.
Sure, yeah.
But there's a bunch of variegated Polygonatums, but just variegata is extremely vigorous grower, and so when it gets too big, you can just.
That is delightful.
That's good.
That is good. Okay.
You want to eat a.
Tim's tastes aren't all bad. This is nice.
Yeah. That's refreshing. It's crisp.
Yeah, it's nutty on the front end. I can't figure out the aftertaste, but it's nice.
Yeah, there's a little sweetness to it.
And nice and moist as well. Like it's not drying my mouth out like that, like the stackies.
Yes.
Yeah. I thumbs up for this one.
I would eat this, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
As we both finish off our
Yeah, definitely. Took the second part and put it in there. So
rhizomes.
Definitely give that one a shot. That's great.
Who knew? Tim. Okay, the other one that I told you I forgot, as we're doing roots, is a lily. Making life difficult for you, Alexander. I always think of the small flowered lilies as being the edible ones, but they're all edible. In China, you often get the unopened buds. They'll take them and dry them. And sometimes you'll see them drying, lots of them outside. And they call them golden needles. And they'll rehydrate them in dishes. They'll do them, dry into like stir fries and things like that. Or as garnishes, and they're good. You can also eat the fully opened flowers.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm gonna go with petals.
Okay. I'm just gonna shove the whole thing in.
Don't do it. See, I don't know if the anther, it may get you. I don't know. The petals are sweet. The anthers are kind of.
It tastes like a cucumber. To me, it tastes just like a cucumber. It's got that cucurbity, like what's in the rind of a watermelon, just that cucurbity vibe to it. I don't love cucumbers, which is the only reason I'm reserving judgment. But I feel like it's certainly, if you like cucumbers, it's certainly palatable.
Yeah, I think I like cucumbers. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty thick textured petal for that.
Sure. Like on a hot day like today, it's refreshing is a good way to describe the flavor on that.
Interestingly, the bud is a little more bitter.
Interesting.
Which you think it was sweeter.
Sure.
But that was actually kind of a surprise to me that not a surprise that the flowers were edible, but
surprise to me.
You think of the tubers. Now this is real dirty, so buyer beware. But the bulbs and the scales on the bulbs are edible, and these probably usually cooked. That's bitter.
I should think so. I was excited when I first bit into it. I like the crunch of it, and but the flavor is not amazing. But
I've actually grown lilies from, if you go to Asian markets, sometimes you can get lily bulbs, fresh lily bulbs to eat. You can grow those out. Usually what I've seen around here is Lilium henryi, which has flowers maybe a little larger than this. They look like tiger lilies.
Yeah.
Orange with the speckles, but a little bit longer pedicels.
Sure.
That hang out, peduncles. So it's a little bit airier.
Definitely.
But whatever.
I feel like I could acquire a taste for those if I really needed to. Like, I didn't love it right off the bat, but I mean, I ate some pretty gross stuff when I was over in Japan that I got used to the more I ate it. So I feel like that is something that you could easily get used to and find quite nice.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. Cooked. I've had them cooked, and that's fine. All right. We're going back closer to home. Nice native, but of course I got to take the cultivated one. This is Aurelia cordata, sometimes called spikenard. And I don't generally think of things in the Aureliaceae family as being terribly edible in general, but this is supposed to be. So this is a plant that has a woody base, but it dies back all the way to the ground in the winter, comes back up, a couple years in the ground. That sucker can be 8 feet by 8 feet. It's huge. Nice. It can get big. So this is one called Sun King with gold foliage. I actually just had to dig mine up at home from a real sunny spot where it was taken over a pathway and move it into the woods. The new shoots are edible. I only have the one, sorry.
Fair enough.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very resinous, turpentine-y flavor.
Delightful.
Yeah. Well, the skin has a bitter resinous taste, so let's get rid of the leaves, because we're not eating the leaves for sure.
Yeah.
And it says is you can peel or pare away the skin. Ours is just getting started. You would probably eat these a little bit later on if you were eating the wood. And what you eat is the pith, that interior part in there. If I was on a cooking show, I would have had my mise en place done and
there it is.
Have this all ready.
Yeah, our interns aren't starting until next week.
That's
too.
right. Oh my gosh, yes. This would have been perfect to have it. This would have been perfect to make the interns taste all these things. I don't know if I got all the skin off, but well, the stems get so big and they can get larger. And so, if you peel them like a carrot or something. All right.
Oh boy.
I'm going to give you the tender
Here we go.
end.
Texture's nice.
Yeah.
Flavors, nice. That is nice. What does that taste like? It's like kind of got a fruity aftertones to it. I kind of see the turpentine.
I'm not getting fruit.
Yeah.
I'm getting turpentine.
It's not bad.
That was much better than the new shoot. Much, much, much better.
Sure.
I would say definitely peel it and eat the pith.
Yeah. So I do bonsai. Yeah, I prune a lot of pine trees, and sometimes I'll chew on needle or on the candles. And so I guess I kind of have a tolerance for piney, turpentine flavors.
Yeah, you do.
And it's nice. I like it. It's really...
It was mild enough once I peeled it that I would saute it.
Yeah.
I would put it in a stir fry, and think of it kind of like a water chestnut or something like that.
Sure. Like I was going to make a joke that like turpentine is a good word to describe the prison wine that you're making at home. But this is actually, I think it's pretty nice. Like piney is a fair word that I think you could use to describe rather than turpentine. It's definitely fair.
They make turpentine from.
Yes, I do. I am aware. But
would you like to try a little bit of the new shoot?
I'll try it. I
don't know if that's really new shoot, but
who knows?
This may be.
Mm-hmm. It's piney. That's piney all day, baby. I love that. I really do. Just because I chew on pine candles, and I have acquired a taste for pine, and I like it. Like pine needle tea is a thing people do in parts. I know you made the comment, people make tea. I think that's fair. If you can conceptualize this as tasting like a pine tree, then it's great. But like, it is more than fair if you can't get over the turpentine.
Well, I can conceptualize that tasting like a pine tree.
Yeah.
Which tastes like turpentine.
Yes.
I am not chewing on. About the only thing I eat on pines are the pine nuts.
Sure.
All
Which
right.
are also delightful.
Yes, those are delightful. So, one of my favorite genera of trees are the lindens or the limes, if you're, in Britain, not citrus limes, but tilia. Our native Tilia americana is called basswood here. It's a big tree, but there's a lot of species through Europe and Asia. Tilia cordata, this is Tilia henryi, and this is Tilia insularis. I really like Tilia henryi because it's got these, almost like eyelash margins to it.
For sure.
I think are really nice. These are trees. It's not a little shrubby tree.
Right.
These are trees.
Definitely.
So the leaves of this plant, according to the internets, are edible all spring, summer, and fall.
No kidding.
They taste like lettuce, but have a mucilaginous texture.
Oh, good.
Young leaves are most tender, but older leaves are still good to eat.
Okay.
Flowers can be eaten as well. The flowers, you definitely make tea from these, and a good honey is made from these. The flowers, when they open, are crazy fragrant.
Yes.
They don't taste like it. And incidentally, when it's in flower, they've all got this bract and then the cluster of flowers under there.
Oh gosh. I'm glad you said mucilaginous because I'm definitely getting that. It's coming on more as you chew it.
Yeah.
Which is not pleasant to me, but.
The leaves are good.
Yes. Okay.
Spring, summer, and fall.
Okay.
Youngest are best, but.
Okay.
And we're going to be able to taste test.
It's okay.
It tastes like a leaf.
It tastes like a leaf. It tastes like a leaf. You can get through it. It's fine. I'm not sure I would go out of my way to put it on a salad, but if I had one, yeah, just chuck it in there.
I think this would take away from most salads.
Sure.
I guess if you like chopped it, like julienned it or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's all right.
Yeah.
Maybe insularis.
Yeah.
The insular one is better.
Let's see.
Certainly, Tilia henryi's got a little more hair on the leaf.
Yeah, I noticed that for sure, which is a little disconcerting, but is what it is.
Texture-wise, I might take the henryi over there.
Yeah, for sure. I went specifically for a leaf at the end because I
Me
figured
too.
that'd be the
Me too.
softest and just hard to bite into.
Yeah, not unpleasant flavor. It's just kind of
Yeah,
leafy.
for sure. Completely agree with that.
Vegetal.
Yes.
Vegetal flavor.
Indeed.
All
I
right.
mean, the tree is wonderful. It's a beautiful tree. It's got such good interest throughout the year. The fact that you can eat it, that's great,
So it's great for pollinators.
Yeah.
All the designers, they love Bradford pears, which we know to hate.
Yeah.
They love them because they're all that perfect shape.
Mhm.
Well, most Tilia have that shape. The only downside to lindens, Tilias, is the Japanese beetles and June bugs can go in there and really do a number on them. But it's a tree.
Sure.
It's over your head. You don't really notice that.
Absolutely.
Don't worry about that. It ain't going to kill the tree. And when they flower, it's incredibly fragrant as opposed to Bradford pears, which stink.
Don't they, though?
So, another one that really surprised me. Now, this is one that it says the young leaves are edible when cooked.
Okay, great. Ready for it.
So, we haven't cooked it, so I don't know if it's needs to be cooked or else it'll kill you.
Let's find out together, shall we?
Flavor-wise, it's vegetal.
Whoa, hold on. Try one off the meristem. Yeah, it's interesting.
I really like that texture.
Yeah, sure. The flavor's like aggressive, kind of. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not too sure I like it.
No.
Yeah, no.
But
like it's like a really angry citrus peel of some kind.
yeah.
Angry.
I will
Not
say,
good.
when I say it should be cooked, I am getting something
Yeah.
in my throat here
Yeah, for sure.
that maybe
That's okay.
should have been cooked.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's yeah. If I go into anaphylactic shock,
For sure.
Oh, another one that I didn't put on your list, and we're not going to eat this. This is a hackberry.
Oh.
We have native hackberries, Celtis, they're elm relatives. And the fruit is edible. And I only grabbed this because I was getting the linden and I saw this and saw that it had fruits on there. They are not ripe, so we're not going to eat them.
Great.
I did try one to see if it was going to be edible. It's not at this point.
Okay.
But, you hear hackberry and that does not sound very good to eat.
Right.
But this one is literally called Celtis edulis, which means edible.
Okay.
So the fruits are really tasty. We have a native one called Celtis laevigata, which is the common name is sweet hackberry or sugar hackberry. And the fruits, when they get ripe, are delicious.
No kidding.
They're really sweet, kind of a raisiny, datey kind of texture when they get really ripe. They're delicious. Birds often get them before you do.
Fair enough.
People usually don't think of them as very pretty trees, but yeah, they can be nice.
Yeah. And my anaphylaxis from the mimosa is starting to wear off now, so.
Mine is not.
Okay. Well,
Mine is not. I'm like
hang in there a little
losing
longer.
my voice here.
Hang in there a little longer.
Let's see. What else? Do I have anything? Oh, this is another one we're not going to eat because the one thing I saw in it said, must be cooked.
Okay.
But this is a plant that I am absolutely in love with. So it's a vine, and it is, if you know what an alstroemeria looks like, if you were really familiar and I were to show you some of these leaves, you'd say, oh yeah, that's an alstroemeria. And this is basically a vining alstroemeria from Central and South America. And this is one we got many years ago, got seed from the University of UC Berkeley Botanic Garden, one of the great botanic gardens in the world. Because when it fruits, it's got these big umbels of bright red fruit. You gotta just collect them. And for us, it dies back to the ground in the winter and then pops back. I did not think this was going to be hardy. Winds up, this was collected at, high elevations in Guatemala, and it grows these tubers, which are cooked and eaten. I mean, this is a food source for some of the indigenous peoples in Central and South America.
Sure.
So they're great. This is one that I'm going to see if I can get it to grow from these things, because we grew out all this seed. We gave it all away. We planted a couple together in our lath house. Did not think they were going to be hardy. They have come back for the past 12 years. And when they flower, they are in these huge umbels of brilliant orange and yellow flower. They are bicolor, just low. Think Alstroemeria flowers, but in this like grapefruit sized cluster.
Wow.
It's drop dead gorgeous. And we grow a few other ones since then. I've been trying to get them, and most of the ones, there's one called Bomeria edulis, the edible one. And,
nice.
And those have pink flowers, and they're beautiful. The big cluster, beautiful. But this one, which we believe is acutifolia, has these orange and red flowers, and you can't propagate it from stem cuttings, and we haven't gotten ripe seed off of ours. So we have not been able to propagate it, but I'm going to see what we can do with this. So the other one, wait. This is one of the classics. Got a little story about this. This, I wouldn't recognize if you gave it to me, because I only recognize this once it gets to be about 3 feet tall, which it seems to do overnight. But of course, this is pokeweed.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wouldn't recognize it, but
sure.
Pokeweed, which people make poke salad out of.
Sure.
People, my first encounter with somebody who saw this as anything but a weed, was when I worked at the Marine Science Museum in Virginia, and I was working on the nature trail, and somebody came through, and as I was pulling out big pokeweed, and he said, "That there is good for butt itch."
That's good advice. That's amazing.
Okay. But it grows tall plant. It grows white flowers, red berries. The berries, birds will get drunk eating those berries.
No kidding.
And a big kind of tuber, kind of carrot-like tuber. I did not ask which of the parts of the plant you used for butt itch. But it does have a lot of oxalates in there. So unless you eat it really young in your poke salad, you want to cook it down to break those down.
Sure.
That's kind of a common one, but all right. One of my favorites.
Yes, definitely.
Whole trip to Uruguay, really, just for this plant this winter. This is the one plant that I'm talking about that I would say, if I did a thing on edible ornamentals, that I really would do. This is pineapple guava, Phaeoa sellowiana, which is how I learned it. Phaeoa sellowiana. They changed it to Aca sellowiana, but it's back.
Is it?
It's back
to
Phaeoa sellowiana.
That's amazing.
Which I always hated Aca.
Okay.
Aca.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you'd eaten mimosa tray.
Yeah.
When he's saying Aca.
No kidding. That's a very relatable example too. So.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, everybody can.
Yeah.
So this flowers, it's in the myrtle family, and weirdly, like in Uruguay, it's native to Uruguay, Paraguay, southern Brazil, northern Argentina, where all those countries come together. And weirdly, several of the fruit, all the edible fruits, native edible fruits really, that they're trying to commercialize in Uruguay, are in the myrtle family, Myrtaceae, which we don't think of fruits in the Myrtaceae family at all.
Sure.
But if you get fruit on these, and we got a couple fruits off of this plant, which is down here in our xeric garden last year.
Nice.
They're, egg size.
Okay.
Now, there are cultivated ones that are much larger.
Sure.
And they have a weird flavor. They're called pineapple guava, and they've got kind of that, tropical-y flavor, pineapple-y kind of tropical flavor, but with an overlay of mint.
Ooh. Okay.
Which mint and pineapple is not what you think of as a good. And it is odd.
Yeah.
And it takes a little getting used to.
People eat mint and chocolate together, which I think is heinous, but it's pretty mainstream. People love it, but Anyway, mint.
And so I was talking, we are collecting as many cultivars and germplasm as we can. And I was talking to somebody who's developing an orchard of them, and he was saying how much fruit he gets. And I realized we probably don't get good fruit because we're not getting, because we've got ours planted too far apart. We should plant some different ones close together.
Yeah.
We'll probably get more fruit. But the reason I included it without that fruit is because the flower petals are so delicious.
Yes.
And so they're, you see, you've got kind of this white outer layer and then the pink inside and then all the little anthers here. Well, if you pluck off these petals, which are thick and pretty waxy.
Thank you.
Oh, look, he grabbed two.
Yes, they are small.
They are small. They are so sweet.
Oh gosh, yeah, definitely.
They're delicious.
Thank you for saving this one till last, honestly.
Yeah. The petals are legitimately delicious, not edible. And I've had a lot of edible flowers and they are edible.
Yeah.
And generally the best edible flowers are either stuffed with cheese and deep fried or they are tasteless. But these are delicious. We show our interns this, and then I go by, and that's why I always thought we didn't have fruit, is because the interns go through and pull every petal off of the plant. I have seen squirrels starting to get into them as well,
kidding.
So they're
That's
learning.
hilarious.
But yeah, I mean, they're delicious. But I will say, this is an unnamed variety. I have one at home called Opal Star. And the petals are fairly tasteless. They don't have the sweetness these have.
That's sad. So you know how Cercis canadensis have edible flowers? I've noticed that the ones that are purple have a much stronger flavor than the ones that are white. And if you're not selecting for the flavor of the flowers, because why would you? It would make sense that it would lose its flavor over time.
Have you tried, and if they had been in flower, would have gotten red bud flowers.
Sure.
Have you tried the double flowers? We ought to try that.
We ought to.
Got the flame right outside and pink pom-poms. We've got white pom-poms. We've got white double.
Okay.
We can
We're building a science
do a double
experiment.
blind. That's right.
There it is.
That's right. Amazing. Well, some of this was tasty.
Yeah.
Some of it was not.
Yeah.
I still believe it's above. I feel like I'm going through puberty.
For sure. I'm mostly over the mimosas. Surely don't at home try it. It's not worth trying.
Well, I wonder, I had like one of the little leaflets, from an older branch first. I'm wondering if that's
probably,
I guess cook those or just stay away from them.
Honestly.
Just have the other kind of mimosa.
That's right. Alexander has it right. Have the other kind of mimosa and float some Feijoa petals in there. But, this was fun for me. This is not something I do. I grew up with a vegetable garden that I hated to work in, and thankfully my mother did not make me work in it too much.
Sure.
I don't spare space at my house for edible plants, a vegetable garden, anything like that. I have a fig. I have a pineapple guava. I have a loquat.
Yeah.
That's the grand extent of my truly fruiting plants. So this was fun to kind of go through and see this. And we've got some, I think maybe we have videos of food forests on YouTube. Maybe not. Those are from our symposium.
That's from the symposium. That'll be private.
But, pay attention, because sometimes we do have talks on things like that where you really can, you think I can't grow vegetables because I've got shade. But, when you talk about hostas.
For sure.
And those new growths are pretty tasty. There are things, the polygonatum that we both enjoyed so much.
Yes.
That's a great shade plant. Fiddleheads on ferns. Just make sure it's the right kind. And don't eat too many, because there's some correlation in parts of Asia where they eat a lot of fiddleheads and stomach cancer. It's not causation, but there's some correlation. So I'd be careful about that.
Definitely.
But there is a ton out there. If you go through and look at especially some Asian cookbooks and things like that, they there's a lot of stuff they're growing there that we can eat if we want to.
Definitely.
So you know, it's fun to kind of experiment. And if you want to go online, there's some plants, like I think ediblewildplants.com has some things
Sure.
on there. Plants for a Future is one that has a lot of, you know, if they're edible or medicinal or things like that on there. But, you know, take everything probably with both a grain of salt for
Definitely.
flavor, but also, you know, a lot of the times the people who are really into this kind of have agendas about it. They really want everything to be edible. So it's either edible or deadly are the two extremes. So be careful with that. But this was a lot of fun, I hope.
It was.
It was fun for me.
We did have one question that came in.
Yeah,
Somebody wanted
questions.
to know, does the Aurelia bloom and are the blooms edible?
So does the Aurelia bloom? The Aurelia does bloom. I have no idea if it's edible.
Okay.
And it's the bloom, they're kind of little clusters of small white flowers. It's actually not, especially the gold foliage ones, not that showy. The green ones, it's showier. But then it gets black fruits on there. So it's, you know, these little round clusters of small black fruits, which are really nice, and they'll last there as the rest of the plant's dying down. They'll stand up there, and birds will eat them. It's a nice native plant, and then you know cut all the old stems down. They're all dead, and it'll resprout. But it gets big once it's matured. It can be 8 feet by 8 feet.
Nice. Well, that is all the questions that we had in the chat for today. So
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Mark, for pulling this together and pulling all these together.
Thank you for joining me and eating all the stuff.
Happy to. Always open to new experiences.
That's right.
Yeah. So we will be back next week with the midweek program. Please join us at 3 o'clock on Wednesday. Mark will be going over the JCRA introduction plants. So that should be wonderful. Mark and I are going to go get our stomach pumped, but we'll see you all next week. Y'all take care.